Aspects of Modernism by Nolini Kanta Gupta. Every age has claimed to be modern and sought to establish its characteristic newness, the hallmark that separates it from the preceding age. How then does the 20th century propose to mark out its difference from the past? Science and scientific outlook, many would answer. But to others, that difference itself might appear antiquated. For strictly speaking, science was the keynote of the 19th century. And although we of the 20th century are enjoying its fruits, putting it to more practical use than our predecessors did, yet it is they who embodied its spirit, its special and proper rule of light and life. Science indeed gave a very decided turn to the slowly advancing humanity. It brought with it something that meant in the march of evolution a saltum, a leap, wide and clear. It landed man all of a sudden into a new world, a new state of consciousness. It is this state of consciousness, the fundamental way of being, inculcated by the scientific spirit, that is of capital importance and possesses a survival value. It is not the content of science, but its intent, not its riches, but its secret inspiration, its motive power that will give us a right understanding of the change it has effected. The scientific spirit, in one word, is rationalization. Rationalization of mind as well as of life. With regard to mind, rationalization means to get knowledge exclusively on the data of the senses. It is the formulation in laws and principles of facts observed by the physical organs. These laws and principles being the categories of the arranging, classifying, generalizing faculty called reason. Its methodology also demands that the laws are to be as few as possible, embracing as many facts as possible. Rationalization of life means the government of life in accordance with these laws, so that the wastage in natural life due to the diversity and disparity of facts may be eliminated, at least minimized, and all movements of life ordered and organized in view of a single and constant purpose, which is perhaps the enhancement of the value of life. The contemporary urge is not towards rationalization, but rather towards irrationalization. Orthodox science itself is taking greater and greater cognizance today of the irrational movements of nature, even of physical nature. Intuition and instinct are now welcomed as surer and truer instruments of knowledge and action than reason. Another feature of the modern consciousness is its multiple-sightedness. The world, as it is presented to us, is no more than an assemblage of viewpoints, and each point of observation forms its own world system. There is no one single ultimate truth. If there is any, there is no possibility of its being known or perceived by the mind or the senses. Things exist in relation to one another, and for us, they have no intrinsic existence apart from the relations. The instrument itself that perceives is the resultant of a system of relations. A truth is only a viewpoint, and as the viewpoint shifts, the truth also varies accordingly. The cult of relativity is a significant expression of the modern consciousness. Intimately connected with relativity and multiplicity is the principle of fragmentation or atomism. Perhaps one should now say electronism. The universe, on a final analysis, is now found to be a concourse of vagrant electric charges. Even likewise, human personality too has no longer its old world character and consistency of being made of one undivided piece, a monolithic structure. It is composite of innumerable personalities, big and small, apparent and hidden, all huddled together in a case called the body, which itself is not more stable than the shifting desert sands. It is this pluralization which has resulted in a necessary polarization in the human consciousness. We have gained a power which was not only rare, but perhaps totally absent in the old world, at least in the general mind. We have reached in a novel way that very wideness or wholeness. Thus, the modern mind can take in more viewpoints than one, even contrary ones at the same time. The individual has acquired the capacity, to put it in popular language, to enter into another's skin, not to be confined to its own outlook, limited within its linear groove, but to be able, with ease and grace, to look through the eyes of others, even though they be on the other side of the arena. A wide and supple, large and subtle perception that goes round the entire contour of the observed object, not a perspective but a global view, is a characteristic capacity of the modern mind. We can see the same thing from all angles and distances. We can turn our gaze upon ourselves. We can see ourselves not only with our own way of looking, but also as others see us, with equal detachment and impartiality. At least, this is the character of the cultured, the representative man of today. Modern art too has sought in some of its significant expressions to demonstrate this protean nature of truth and reality, to bring out the simultaneity of its multiple modes, to give a living sense of its tangled dynamisms. The consciousness of yesterday was a unilateral movement. It rose up high and descended deep into the truth of things, but mostly along a single line. The consciousness of today is complex and composite. It has lost much of the vertical movement. It does not very easily soar or dive, precisely because it has spread itself out in a multitude of horizontal movements. Our modern consciousness is outward gazing and extensive. It has not the ingathering and intensive character of the old world consciousness. But what it has lost in depth and height, it has sought to make up in width, simplicity and intensity, sublimity and profundity were the most predominant qualities of man's achievement in the past. What characterizes human endeavor in the present is its wideness, richness, complexity. It can also be noted that the corruptions of these qualities likewise mark out their respective ages. Fanaticism, for example, the corruption of a good and noble thing. Fidelity means an unilateral mind carried to its extreme. It is a characteristic product of the Middle Ages in the West as in the East. The modern world, in its stead, has given us dilettantism and cynicism, corruption of largeness and catholicity. Consciousness has two primary movements. In one, it penetrates, enters straight into the heart of things. In the other, it spreads out, goes about and round the object. The combination of the two powers is a rarity. Ordinarily, man follows the one to the exclusion of the other. The modern age, in its wide curiosity, has neglected the penetrative and intensive movement and is therefore marred by superficiality. It is eager to go over the entire panorama of creation at one glance, if that is possible, to have a telescopic view of things, but it has been able to take it only the surface, the skin, the crust. Even the entrance into the world of atoms and cells, of protons and electrons, of chromosomes and genes, is not really a penetrative or intensive movement. It is only another form of the movement of perversion or extension. It is still a going abroad, only on another line, in a different direction, but always fundamentally on the same horizontal plane. The microscope is only an inverted telescope. Our instruments are the external mind and senses, and these move laterally and have not the power to leap onto a different level of vision. The earlier ages of mankind, narrow and circumscribed in many respects, possessed, nevertheless, that intensive and ingathering movement, which is a kind of movement in the fourth dimension. It was a sixth sense leading into the behind or beyond of things.